Hi everybody, it's Kristen again. Welcome back to another video on our Thriving Blind series of setting extraordinary expectations, or learning to see, SEE, setting extraordinary expectations. You know, so many people say, how have your boys accomplished so much? And although I didn't start my journey this way, I learned how important it is to set extraordinary expectations for them. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are going to do that until the family sets extraordinary expectations, and the leaders of the IEP teams or the TVI, somebody in that child's life, and sometimes it's the child themselves, to set that extraordinary expectation and then find the tools and resources that that child needs to accomplish their goals. So here at Thriving Blind, I talk a lot about social goals and school stuff, because those are pretty much mostly the school stuff, or the questions that we get a lot of how the boys have done things. But one thing that seems to be neglected a lot is the extracurricular stuff. You know, I know that for me, in the first several years of the journey with blindness, I didn't realize that there would be so many extracurricular activities for my kids. And my kids just tended to get out there and get it done and try new things. You know, I'm in my football jersey. I'm a diehard Philly Eagles fan. Leave all judgments out of that. Thank you very much. I am. I grew up an Eagles fan, still am, and my boys are huge football fans, Eagles fans. And back when Michael was 9 years old, he expressed an interest in trying the local football program. And you might think, like we did, okay, so what does that look like for a blind kid? Well, it turns out, if you know football, to be a center, you know, you kind of just have to stand there and snap the ball. Okay, calm down, everybody that's a center or knows a football center. I know there's a little more to it than that. I'm just being basic here. My point is, he didn't have to run down the field and find somebody. You know, he didn't have to do a whole lot of moving around. So center was a logical place for Michael to be. So that's what he did. He was the center. And how did he, you know, come out of the huddle? Think about football, right? They huddle up behind the line of scrimmage, and then they have to make their way to the ball, line up, not offsides. I won't talk about whether our team has offside problems or not, but that's the gist of it, right? How does he do that? Well, there would be a guard next to him in the huddle. They would come out. The guy would have his hand on Michael's shoulder and guide him right up to where the ball was, and Michael would take over and listen to his quarterback. It was pretty simple, and it was magnificent. I never thought I'd be on a sideline, a football sideline, watching my blind son being able to take part. And we were in that Pop Warner League. I mean, it was a great team, great families, had the whole camaraderie, everything. Our town was a great football town. And then by the time Michael got into middle school, he was able to play for the middle school team. Same thing. He was one of the centers on that team. And you know, for him, he loves being a part of a team. I mean, so much so that once a lot of the sports stuff faded away for him as his vision completely declined, and his interest grew in different areas, he now is part of a band, you know, as a musician, and his rock band. He loves being up on stage with a group of people. He's just a team kind of guy. And football was a wonderful way for him to meet new people, meet guys that were like him, that loved the sport, and joke around and learn. I don't know if I want to know all the stuff that went on in locker rooms and all the goofy stuff that middle school guys would talk about, right? But he made different kinds of friends there. And by the time, you know, with all the different extracurricular activities that Michael did, by the time he ran for student council, a lot of kids knew him. So it was a great way for him to meet other people. And I highly encourage, if your child expresses an interest in football, then get him out there, work with the coaches, you know, see what would make it work. And it wasn't just Michael that had an interest in football. My younger son, Mitch. Now, Mitchell didn't have an interest in playing football, but Mitchell loves experiencing football live and on TV. And what a great thing for us is we have our sportscaster that does the play-by-play for the Eagles games is the incredible Merrill Reese. His voice, for those of you in Philadelphia, you know that voice, right? It's just an icon that so many of us grew up listening to. And in our house, we actually turned down the TV volume and put the radio on for me to hear the voice of Meryl, because I love it. But for my boys, the radio broadcasters are describing everything for everybody that can't see it because it's radio. So I highly encourage, if you haven't tried it yet and you have a blind child that might be interested in football in your home, or a blind family member that's interested in football, turn the TV volume down, put the play-by-play radio broadcaster on, and then everyone can enjoy the game. And a lot of times Meryl gives me more information than I can get from what I'm looking at or that the TV folks will give us. So there you go. If your child wants to get out there and try football, I highly encourage it. Just put them in a nice, safe position. So there's my message for today. Look around for some extracurricular things. It might not have to be sports. Ask your child what they might be interested in. Try a couple of different things. And if it seems like something like football wasn't really what I thought would be possible for my child, but we explored it a little bit and then figured out a way to make it happen, I highly encourage you to do that and find some extracurricular stuff that your child can meet some other kids like them and start developing some great social relationships. So thanks for tuning in to another edition of Thriving Blind and Setting Extraordinary Expectations.